That'll delay.
Wait a second,
Chairs
man.
again, boys.
So, hey, Charlie.
Not just
Before we get started, we're going to do an executive session real quick
Play soccer.
to go over a couple things.
See.
So, yeah, you got to leave, and it should be relatively quick.
Okay, no worries.
So,
So how you doing? Good. Yeah, well, I would come after you. I'm obsessive compulsive.
right here, Laura. You're up at the table. Yeah, you're official.
Oh, she's official? Ooh.
We gotta close the meeting.
Yeah, we had to start the meetings first.
Got it, okay.
Okay, good evening. I'll open up the October 23rd, 2018 meeting of the Hamilton Planning Board. It's about 7:03. On our agenda tonight, we do have an executive session regarding Nazir versus Planning Board. We have a public hearing, continued public hearing for 354 Highland Street, special permit. We'll be discussing master planning, meeting minutes, and a couple board discussions regarding roadway acceptance policy and town meeting results of our bylaw changes. So first thing is an executive session to discuss pending litigation against the planning board. So to review this for everybody, we just have to vote to go into executive session. Chris, we'll be coming back out into open session. So we just have to have a motion to go into executive session.
I make a motion, we go into executive session.
To discuss
Yeah,
Nazir versus Planning Board,
Yep.
and to return to open session.
Thank you.
We have to do
Right,
voice vote.
Right, a roll call vote. So all those in favor?
Yes?
They're both attorneys.
Wait till you see how fast I can talk.
Oh, wait a minute, you already
Where
talked
do you
too
have to
fast.
be in half an hour? Where do you have to be in half?
I have tickets tomorrow.
You have what?
I have tickets
You
tomorrow.
picked,
Oh, well, you got to get
Am I
up.
lucky? I know.
picked a better day, that's for sure.
Oh, Jill. That's Jill, man. She's the. Oh, yeah, you were
Did you
here.
just say you don't even like baseball?
Here's your magic wand.
Oh, boy.
Right, yeah. Just don't pull the white end, okay?
Yeah, I have my copy.
Okay.
Just don't give me the, what's it called?
Pass it over.
No,
Laser one, then I can blind people.
Yeah, right. I got one of those too, Jill.
so you know we're back on.
Yes.
They go back to them without the feedback, then we delay the working.
You're old enough, who said that 5-year-old grandson? You're old enough?
I guess it could. I guess they must.
No, you're not that old.
You mean they have to say settling? And then
Well, yeah, if the other side agrees, then yeah, they could probably postpone everything, yeah. Please, the floor is yours. Actually, you just need to be up at the podium,
Oh, I'm
please.
sorry, I apologize. You're right, I'm disoriented because it's a different setup. Good evening, Jill Mann here on behalf of Magnolia Reach Capital, the petitioner in connection with a request to modify the previously issued special permit and site plan approval for senior housing development located at 354 Highland Street. We had been before you last month in September in order to discuss some relatively minor changes with regard to the facade of the building, those being changes to the clapboards. And then we also came with some requests relative to the water line. We did meet and discuss with Tim Olson. Remember, we had those comments and none of us really knew exactly what they were. So we went back to Tim. Tim told us exactly what to do, and that was communicated through Mr. Effort. And we have actually included and sent over via email to Mr. Effort a copy of the change. And Mr. Olson did review it and say that it was fine and acceptable to him the way in which we had revised that particular aspect of the plan. So we're very happy to hear that, and we wanted to make sure we got that done. We also did get our Conservation Commission permit issued, very happy to say. And we are in the process of securing final approval for our septic system. We submitted all of that probably 40 days ago. It was a while ago. Pardon? Closer to 60. And we're just waiting for that final sign-off. So the big issue, however, was when we had discussed how we were actually going to satisfy the affordable housing component. And through negotiations, we had decided that a payment in the amount of $435, if you will remember, $435,000 payment in lieu of providing the 2 on-site units. As you will recall, the failure to provide the 2 on-site units was not at the election of the petitioner, but rather at the election or the request, or I shouldn't say that, the failure of the Office of the Executive Office of Environmental Affairs to allow 55 and older subdivisions or developments to actually age restrict.
I think you meant housing, not environmental.
Oh, did I?
DHCD.
DHCD, but you know who signed? Isn't it the Executive Office of Environmental Affairs who actually signs that thing, though?
No, it's the Executive Office of Housing and Community.
Community, okay, see the E's, I get all confused. But it is DHCD. It was Rieko Hayatashi, with whom actually Mr. Effett also spoke. Based on that, what Mr. Effett and I did, I took the prior decision, which I had sent in this form now, and modified the provisions relative to the inclusionary housing. So basically, essentially what I did was I pulled the provisions from the prior decision, and those were the general requirements, a affordable component, and I just revised that language to say that the petitioner would deliver a payment for the $435,000 that payment would be delivered in 2 equal payments, that, as also asked by this board, that we put a time limit on when those payments were going to be made. So the first installment will be due and payable 5 business days after the issuance of the 10th building permit, occupancy permit, or December 31st. So we have a drop dead date. It can't be later than that. And then the same exact thing. So it would be the 20th occupancy permit or December 30th, 2020. So you are guaranteed payment no later than the issuance of the 20th, but in any event prior to or on December 31st, 2020. And in addition to that, I did have to revise the conditions, so inclusionary housing conditions, and I did that to basically say that we recognize that you will not issue, nor will the building department issue, the 11th occupancy permit or the 21st occupancy permit unless we comply with those requirements.
But would you, that mean that you would be able to get the ones in between?
Oh, sure. So if I actually satisfy the condition of the delivery of the $217,500 payment on or before December 31st, 2019, or the 10th, then I can keep going. But if I don't deliver you that permit, if I don't deliver you that payment, excuse me, I can't get the 11th. So I'm stopped.
Stops there. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they are conditions precedent to any issuance of occupancy.
Yeah, I misunderstood how this was saying.
No worries. In addition to that, then, I had to revise any section that referred to any inclusionary matter. So that's why I inserted the new provision. So there was a provision that basically said density bonus, and it says how much we provide for on-site. So it's really 25%, quite frankly, for the payment of the $435,000. Even when you look at the inclusionary formula, we still do get to the amount or the benefit that we have. So I just revised it and put it in because I didn't want your decision to not reflect changes throughout. And then number 2 and 3, those were specific to those facade, if you will, minor changes, because those refer to, again, the use of vinyl, which it is preferred to use clapboard, either being cementitious or cedar, and that's what we did, and then also the water meter. So essentially what we're asking this board tonight is to consider the changes reflected in the proposed findings and decision modifying the special permit. And I don't know if this board has questions for me, from Mr. Smith, for Charlie Ware. We're all here to answer your questions.
Jill, where would you insert the revised plans that we received today?
So essentially on page 2 of 5, where I say evidence, so it'll be revised site plans entitled Cantor Brook. I didn't want to give you a new decision because I was hesitant to make a change to something before. So it would actually be up here where it says revision sheet 4 up through August 14, 2018. And now it would reflect that sheet, which I think it's sheet 4 again. Excuse me. So I'll simply make the change to the evidence provision and say up through October 23rd, 2018, so that change is incorporated into your decision.
Any questions from the board? So we need to go through every one of these, right? Yeah. Okay. So we're all set? Everybody good?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all set. Okay.
What do we do now?
So we just need, there's a 5 or 6 motions here to, amend certain areas of the decision.
That's the first one. You want me to make a motion?
Yep, please.
I make a motion to strike section of the 216 decision entitled Density Bonus, number 3 Density Bonus B, 25% on-site affordable.
Wait, can you go back? Let's just do these in order. There's the page before that, there's letter A.
Oh, my mistake. So, okay.
Okay. Starting from the beginning.
Yes, thank you.
A motion to strike a section of the 216 decision entitled Planning Board Findings, Number 1, General Requirements, A, Affordable Component, VE 12, B, in its entirety, and to subscribe, and to substitute in its place the following. Do you want me to read that language?
If you need to?
Jill?
No, you do not. You can simply refer to the written
Refer to-
document.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
everybody does have a copy.
Yes.
As long as everybody has a copy.
Okay. So I've made that motion.
Yep.
Second?
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, unanimous?
Where would it be? Oh, here it is, okay. Shall I continue?
Please.
Please.
Okay. A motion to strike a section of the 216 decision entitled Conditions 11, Inclusionary Housing, of the 216 decision in its entirety and substitute in place thereof the following condition, inclusionary housing payment described previously and in this document.
I'll second it. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is that everybody? Opposed? Unanimous?
C, a motion to strike the section of the 216 decision entitled Density Bonus, Number 3, Density Bonus, B, 25% for on-site affordable housing of the 216 decision in its entirety, and substitute in place thereof the following conditions as described previously and included in the document.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous.
I think that's it.
You actually have the minor modifications in 2 and 3 as well.
Yep.
Those into the facade and the water meter. Set forth right below.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the changes to the water lines and water meter details, all as shown on sheet 4 dated October 23rd, 2018.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Make a motion to amend the planning board findings, number 3F, building and design standards and conditions, number 17, colors of buildings, garage door styles, to delete any and all references to the use of vinyl clapboards and to substitute in place thereof cedar clapboard or hardy plank and AZEK trim.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yes.
What is AZEK?
It's PVC trim.
Any opposed? You want to ask about any opposition? Just so we've got a cool
Oh, I'm sorry, and opposed?
unanimous.
Yeah, yeah, they're all unanimous.
So if it pleases the board, I'll make those changes to reflect the voting members. If I may, the voting members, I think, are going to be Mr. Mitchell, Mr. Stein, Mr. Clark, Mr. Howard, Mr. Borrow, right?
And Mr. Ham.
Yeah, he was here for the, yep.
You were here, right?
Yeah, he was
You were
here.
as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Just welcome. So I will make those changes, then I'll email it over to
Great.
you first thing in the morning. And we appreciate it. You're going to see a project, believe it or not, soon.
That sounds pretty exciting.
They laugh because it's only been
3 years.
More than that, more than that, 5 or 6.
Yeah.
I know, Larry, you wanted to start in November. Are you going to be able to? We've got an appeal period, but
If not, early December.
Yeah.
We'll have our demolition.
I was gonna say,
great news.
Yeah.
Yeah, the alarmers are very.
Yeah, yeah.
The seller
There were-
wants
there
to
were-
sell. We wanna-
There were like 3 or 4 different plans, I think. They started with like 40 or 50 or 60. Yeah, much bigger.
I know.
Kept whittling it. I wasn't involved.
So thank you, everybody.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Thank you.
Tonight, James Taylor singing the.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, okay.
9 minutes. In 9
Oh
minutes.
my gosh, I have to, I don't want to.
Will it be on the radio?
I can
But
listen to him
I'll
on
have
the-
Brian.
Can you live with this, Jill? I mean, I
But
just,
I'll
you know.
mark
I
down
don't
to
think-
everybody. you know,
I don't
vote.
think you're gonna make it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
No, in Hamilton, we'll
Take care,
probably
thank you.
lose our power about halfway through the first.
Yeah, something's happened up the street. Oh, thank you, dear.
Don't let me get nervous with
No,
that.
no, no.
So we have a fire engine? Yeah.
When she came one time,
We'll go by.
we were running long.
All right,
It'd be like, I'm sorry.
Patrick, can you bring us up to date on master plan?
Yeah, we've come to find out that our housing master planning housing consultant is in popular demand. We have worked to get dates together for the kickoff meeting. It was difficult to do. The earliest that I can get is a week from today at 12:30. I'm happy to get the town's Suburban and drive them around, and any planning board members that want to go on a tour of housing in Hamilton. I intend to take them to the Housing Authority, Carriage House condominiums. It's probably the most recent 40B project. Some of the governor's area I think is worth looking at. Probably a couple of estates. Probably look at the Long Meadow property. And any other suggestions that board members might have, I'll add them to the tour.
Patton Ridge.
Yeah. Patton Ridge as well as Canterbrook.
When is this gonna be, Patrick?
12:30 next Monday? Or excuse me, yeah, I believe it is on the 30th.
That's Tuesday.
Yeah, that would be Tuesday.
The 30th at
Yep.
noon?
Yeah.
Noon?
And Rick is already committed.
I'd like to go if there's room, I don't know.
Sure?
You're gonna bring the lunch.
Yeah, you have to behave, Peter.
You have to bring
I'll have to
lunch.
separate you guys.
I'm sure I can.
Okay.
12:30, after lunch.
That's noontime. Patrick, noontime?
Yes.
12:30.
So is this gonna be walking at each site or just driving by and looking at them?
You know, if there's enough interest and enough subject matter, we'll get out. May not be.
Who are coming from their side?
Actually, Jennifer Goldson will be the person that will be with us. Judy Barrett had a conflict. She's dealing with multiple town meeting projects where she's providing testimony for a number of communities this fall, so it's really put a crunch on her schedule.
No, wait, do we know Judy Barrett? That name sounds familiar.
Yes, we
Did the
do.
master
She-
plan last time.
Huh?
She did the last master plan.
Okay, that's why I know the name. I don't think I've ever met her, but
You'll also notice in the package on, let's see, number 3, the latest update to their scope as well as the schedule right after number 3. So this contract was for $29,600. Both Rick and Janelle worked with me to review the two proposals. The project was awarded to this company. They have impeccable recommendations from other communities, plus Judy has worked here, has worked for me in other communities as well.
Just a question, Patrick, will be doing the tour next week. They'll be, or could be even now, preparing the demographic profile. Any idea when and maybe we find out next Tuesday when they can do their presentation. Or are we gonna wait until they've done their focus groups?
Presentation to us.
Yeah,
I think that may have been November the 20th. They threw out a tentative date.
because I'm kind of thinking they're not meeting with us. I mean, they're starting the kickoff without meeting with us, which is fine. So I'm wondering if that, you know, their second meeting is listed, meet with the planning board to review key findings, prepare for 2 public forums. I'm just wondering when that, you know, when that meeting ought to occur. you
Sure.
know, Because we're gonna come up with, you know, it's either gonna happen after Thanksgiving in that like 10-day period, or it's gonna be next year.
Yeah.
So I'm just,
Well, I mean, the first couple tasks in number 2 there, I mean, conduct 2 half-day focus groups, and then a community survey. I mean,
Right.
how long do you give for that? I mean, the survey in itself is,
right, so it may be that it's just gonna be next year that we'll have
Possibly.
the first sort of summary meeting of,
Yeah.
right.
I'm not expecting people to be too thrilled with dealing with surveys during the month of December
Nope,
at all.
nope. They will completely blow it off.
Yeah.
happy
I
holidays.
don't.
I'm not sure.
Too much rum punch. Anyway, I just want to sort of think
Yeah.
about that
Sure.
in our discussions of, and that's a good point, is the survey, and, you know, so it could be end of January, February before we,
Really meet
I
the
mean,
crew.
well, I mean, can you get the focus groups done in early December?
well, that's what I'm thinking, so. I mean, in theory, they could start the survey, I mean, they could do that any.
You can do the survey, that's true, you can do the survey now.
They could start it now,
Yeah, that's
in
true.
essence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe a discussion with them in sort of the chronological order of what they're doing. I'm not so much worried about having that first meeting as them doing the survey, getting the demographic data, doing the one-on-one. If we can get that done this year, then, you know, by January, early, mid-January, they can actually come and
Present. Yeah.
present.
Yep.
I think they've gotten some headway already.
So can you just sort of like
Yeah.
canoodle with them?
Canoodle?
Canoodle,
Okay.
yeah.
I'll attempt.
No half-baked noodles either.
Okay.
So this drive around is next Monday?
Yes, sir.
Tuesday,
Monday, Tuesday, sorry.
Tuesday,
Tuesday.
Tuesday at noon.
This coming Tuesday.
12:30.
Meet here,
12:30
Patrick.
because you said you
Oh,
need.
that's right, that's right.
You needed to
That's
be a
right,
little
you're
bit
right.
late,
Oh, good, thank you.
so 12:30.
Meet here?
Yes, sir. I'll get it posted, so we're good for that.
Great. Good there?
Great.
Thank you.
Let's do minutes at the end. Really not much to discuss, I guess, about town meeting. I mean, both of our, well, our proposed bylaw passed, the accessory apartment bylaw, and the Board of Selectmen's repeal of the Conservancy District passed, which is bylaw related. So I had planned on maybe one of those not passing, but, you know, I'm discussing it, but we don't really have to do that.
Yeah, the only major modification was, and it was interesting, was, you know, we had the at sale of property, the special permit terminated, or it terminated until the next owner came up with a
And renewed it, yeah.
signed affidavit
Right.
saying that they would live in the premises, and Bill Deary and a couple of other people got up and said, well, that's going to impede the new homeowners' ability to get financing because they'll be looking for revenue from that apartment. So we didn't have a problem with that. So now, in essence, these will be in perpetuity unless there is a violation of the conditions of the special permit, and that's going to be really self-enforcing by the neighbors. So if the neighbors complain that there's too much noise, too many cars, what have you, they can go to the building inspector and then go to the ZBA and for a hearing, potential revocation if they continue the violation of the conditions.
Great. No, heard you did a nice job. Thank you for filling in and doing that.
A lot of pressure,
I mean,
a lot of pressure.
No, I know. I mean, it's rare that we get a bylaw passed the first go around, right? So
Were you there?
that was good.
Did you tell them about removing the less than 90, whatever the percentage was, that little last phrase?
Yeah, you've got that.
Yeah, you got
wording.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've already gotten that proofed and sent to the Attorney General.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Roadway acceptance policy.
The new town manager and the Board of Selectmen are respectfully requesting that the planning board review the street acceptance policy that the town has had since 1999. This policy has some major financial liabilities connected to it. It basically allows for a neighborhood served by an unimproved street that's private to request that the town upgrade it. They have to do half of the engineering, they have to provide the land, but largely the town has to provide all of the financial funds to construct the road up to town standards. And this is a really steep kind of implication. We've, had various neighborhoods come to us over time, Berrywood, and some others requesting, but even that short stretch of Berrywood, we did some preliminary engineering on it. The town would have been facing about $750,000 worth of investment to bring it up to town standard. So it kind of points to the level of vulnerability that the town has with this kind of policy. So what I've done is I've attached in your package here an email that came from the town manager making this request. Also, I have included about 4 different other town policies from other communities that also allow for acceptance of local roadways that were allowed for within subdivision developments, etc. What I think that we should do is, anytime you've got this much information to evaluate, is to try to work through a matrix process and evaluate the multiple communities and how they provide funds or not, and compare it with us. I included in this package our policy as well for your review. So I'm willing to start that process. We definitely will need to discuss it on likely a number of occasions, but it's, I think, a pretty big piece of work, but I think it's really important for the community over time. I'm sure Ed and Peter and Rick have been involved in many subdivisions and projects that have come to the town and have requested waivers, and now I have no doubt there are residents who want to see those roadways as well as the infrastructural system being turned over to the town, with the town having to upgrade it and maintain it over time. This is one of those things that make, you know, governmental managers cringe.
The issue used to be, people didn't like to take their trash down to the collection point, which was when you got to a public road. And they liked to have snow plowing if possible.
Sure.
And not have to pay for those incidental things. I don't think the big issue was completely redeveloping it as a cost of bringing it up to some subdivision standard or something. Because, you know, DPW director usually just said, we're not going to do that, we're not going to deal with this. And I think it was just because of all the pressure on the selectmen who don't think about roads, and that they sort of started, in the old case, they said, well, we'll talk about plowing and trash. Now we're talking about completely redeveloping it or being a subdivision, as a new subdivision. And that's crazy.
I have experienced a number of requests from residents in the 4 years that I've been here, who live in subdivisions that were provided with waivers, and in the decisions from the planning board dating back sometimes multiple decades from today's date, the board would be very, very firm in making the statement in the decision that no town services are to be provided on snowplow and trash, maintenance of roadways, utilities, drainage, ad infinitum. Yet we get requests frequently from folks for any number of things, trash and snow removal particularly.
Patrick?
Yes, sir.
The $700,000 that you mentioned, I think on Berrywood, was that the total cost or the town's share?
That was just the town's share.
So the whole cost was 1.4 million?
Yeah.
50-50?
Yeah.
Okay. So that that's what, is Berrywood a moderately long strip or a short strip compared to the other roads?
You know what? I don't. I don't have a comparison with the other ones.
I think I drove it once, and
Yeah, it's not that long, but it's.
yeah, it's not that short either. It's not
No.
like a four. There was a four-house
No, it's,
strip
no,
once
it's
that
a
wanted
good
to.
10, 12 houses, I think, there, aren't there? I think.
Right.
Yeah, easily. But it was in pretty miserable shape.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right,
And it hasn't gotten better.
right.
Don't understand. So that, I'm sorry, Ed, that means that most of these streets, especially if they're longer, are gonna be a pretty hefty price tag.
That's really the point.
Yeah, if they weren't built properly to begin with, which obviously that one wasn't, but, I mean, some of them I'm sure got different waivers, and there's different bases underneath those roads, and so who knows, but.
You know, and with the case with Berrywood, there were multiple developers that went bankrupt over time that, you know, no one was really watching, you know, from start of the roadway construction to the end to make sure it was done right. So, you know, the base is poor in a lot of locations. You can tell it hasn't weathered over time. Doesn't have any drainage, you know, facilities related to it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Patrick, can you tell us what you'd like to do, what you'd like us to do next with this?
Review the individual communities' packages or policies, rather. I will send you out a matrix, and I will work with Brian and yourself and make sure in some of our upcoming meetings so we can schedule discussion times so we can start hammering away at it.
Okay.
would it make sense to ask Tim to inventory the roads and give us a rating as to sort of A, B, C, D, and F? Something like that, so we get some sense of how costly it's gonna be?
I think that'd be
Well, I
great
think-
for her to do.
I think what we're trying to do is prevent.
We're trying to
cost.
prevent it. Yeah, right, we're trying to prevent.
I
this
mean,
from
750,000 is too much money, period,
Yeah.
Yeah,
for any town to spend these days.
the level of financial vulnerability that puts the town into is just, we can't deal with it.
Well, I reviewed those 4 or 5 that you sent out today in about 20 minutes, and the main thing that stuck out was there were some that were 50-50, and there was at least one that was 100-0. And given what you just said about 700,000 and the quantity of streets that we have that could be brought back in, I'd say go 100%. If the owners want it, let them pay for it. Because they're the ones that were benefiting from, town didn't benefit from that.
That's true, that's part of the philosophy
Yeah,
that you
they
really have to
benefited from it.
consider.
It's their
is-
responsibility. If they want to bring it up, let them bring it up.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they're,
Patrick, there are some precedents. The road I live on, Maya Lane, not Maya Road now, Maya Lane. That was laid out in the original development by Shirtcliffe in a fairly decent layout. Maya Lane is a well-built road, heavy gravel, has been repaved numerous times by the owners of the land there's five house lots on that, 4 houses, 5 lots. The fellow that didn't have a house did not contribute to its maintenance. I presume if he built a house, which he can do because it's PERC, that he would then become a participant in the cost of maintaining the road. But the oddity here is that the abutters, we pay for the maintenance, we pay for the snow plowing, we pay for the salting, we don't pay for the rubbish. The rubbish truck backs up, it's not a long road, it's, I don't know, what, a quarter of a mile, I guess, something like that. And it doesn't increase the trash. If you took all the trash that's put out on the road and put it down on Maya Road, it doesn't increase the volume of the trash, it just relocates it. So, trash is another consideration of an obligation the town might or might not have in other locations.
Right, right, it's part of the equation for sure.
Patrick, why is Meyer Lane not on this list? This is the road acceptance procedures, and it lists a lot of the lanes, and then it says any of several unnamed paper streets that generally appear as driveways, but that would not include Meyer Lane.
No, it wouldn't.
And then,
I can't answer that, I wasn't here in '99.
when was
So-
Meyer Lane built, Ed?
50s.
Early 1950s, somewhere.
Oh, well,
Mid-
okay, so this is,
99.
So,
1999.
right, but certain private ways since 54, so maybe it was after, oh, that would be.
it was after 54.
Yeah. It doesn't make any difference. It's-
So what's the process to amend these or change these?
The town manager thinks that it should go to town meeting. To me, this is a town policy.
Yeah.
I'm of the opinion that this can be done via a public hearing.
Right.
The same way
Like our
that the
permit regs,
ZBA,
yeah.
yeah, exactly, the
Yeah.
same way the ZBA is modifying their 40B regulations.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
that's what I'm thinking, yeah.
I don't think going to town meeting is a good vehicle for doing that.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
30, 40 years ago, the owners of property on Maya Lane had a gathering and informally voted amongst themselves and said that we want to stay a private lane, we don't want to be a public road. I'm not quite sure what the logic was there, one way or the other, but it did take place.
How many of those owners are still on the street?
I'm sorry.
How many of those owners are still on the street, on the lane?
I'm the oldest one, meaning I've been there 57 years. So everybody is
Gone.
newer, but,
But you're only going back part of that time. This only went, that discussion, that meeting only went back part of the time that you were on there.
say that again.
When was that meeting that you were talking about?
It doesn't.
Yeah, okay, never mind.
It doesn't matter.
It
We're up against a baseball game.
It is, and I guess what the summation there is that the people that live on the road don't necessarily want it to be a public way, you know? And I haven't given a lot of thought, but I kind of like it the way it is. I'm not out farming anything, you know?
Well, I'm sure there's people that are gonna say the opposite, right? That, well, we're paying town taxes and we're paying, you know, for all our road maintenance and all this stuff, right? So that's the opposite take, and I'm sure there's
But-
others.
Some of those roads that are down by the lake and stuff, those are friggin' nightmares.
Oh, yeah.
Excuse my expression.
Okay.
Don't want to go there.
All right. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes? Last meeting? There we go. On October 2nd.
It's one page.
No.
Never mind.
Nope.
Wrong. I was looking at something wrong.
Any edits, changes? I'll make a motion to approve the October 2nd, 2018 minutes.
Second it. You want me to make the motion?
Okay.
I make the
Second.
motion to accept it as presented.
I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Thank you. Any updates from other boards?
Nothing's going on.
Hearing none.
I make a motion, we adjourn and go watch the Red Sox game.
Go ahead.
He made a motion to adjourn before you chimed in there, so.
The Historic Commission met last week on our first application of the new bylaw, demolition delay bylaw. And we did a house, 468 Highland Street. We did not make the mark of having over 50% of the building to be demolished. So it went very well. The full board turned up. It was very interesting that we looked at the house. The homeowner seemed to be very appreciative, and the architect seemed to be appreciative that
Take these.
cleared the deck so that they can go ahead with their development, and there was no created problems.
Great. Excellent. So, we have a motion on the floor to adjourn. I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right.
Well done.
All right.
Great.